Welcome to NeuroArkitect. My name is Tom, and I am here to help guide you into your optimal physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual fitness. That's what this show is about. That's what this channel is about. I said show. It's not a show, but this is what everything I do is about. And today I'm really just going to talk about one thing only, and that's our beloved ego. And essentially how it prevents us from creating the lives we want to create. It's ironic because we may actually have the best intentions, right? We may have these really grandiose visions for ourselves, for our lives, for our health, for our fitness. And it could be something as simple as just wanting to look better, but it could also just be something as incredible as creating a multi-million-dollar company that transforms and changes lives, which is what this guy's trying to do. And it doesn't really matter how big or small the goal is. Here's the thing. To understand why we sometimes struggle and find so much resistance on the path, or find ourselves even just sabotaging our progress and reverting back to what we were doing. I mean, we're moving into a new year, and of course everyone knows that this is the time that everyone really thinks about and reflects on where they're at and where they want to be, what they want to change. The ego is going to make that very challenging for you because its role, and just looking back from an evolutionary perspective, change is dangerous, right? We enjoy the comfort and structure of what is known. Even if that known reality isn't great, it's what's known. Okay, and we know how to navigate that. Change implies uncertainty. And when there's just too many factors that we're uncertain of, the ego will try to preserve what is the known reality, right? Secondly, it does not want to die, right? So your current reality creates your identity. Your identity creates your current reality. It's bidirectional. And if my current reality is, well, I'm at this weight, I'm at this, I'm in this career, I'm at this, let's say, at this, I don't like using money metrics because they're not necessarily the best metric for success necessarily, but I'm at this level of success in my personal career, in my job, in the work that I'm doing. Nothing's changing, but it's safe. And this creates my identity, my egoic identity. And if my ego wants to preserve itself, because its job is primarily one of preservation, preserving the body, preserving, just being alive, preserving life, it's not going to want to allow that identity to be shattered. Right? So if my identity is one of lack and scarcity and dis-ease, right, illness, if I'm so attached to these things, if they are what create me now, and the me now creates my reality around me, well then I can't create I can't create a new reality without shifting that identity. Thing is, the ego does not want to die. It does not want to lose that identity. So there's all these different things that are going to impede our progress, impede our efforts to create what we want to create. So how do we go around that? Well, I do apologize for the sound outside, by the way. They're doing some kind of work. So if that's making it into the mic, I'm just going to apologize from the get-go, but we're not going to stop the flow. We have to be able to, in the present moment, learn how to create very real and actionable steps that are going to move us in the direction we want to move in, right? We want to be able to, in the moving in that direction, also be creating that new identity as we're doing so, right? And we want to be able to push just far enough where we're making progress, but we're not endangering the egoic sense of, well, I'm losing what makes me me, right? I'm dying. So you need to be able to have the correct structure, the correct planning right? The correct ways to work with not just your external reality, but really with your internal reality, because that's what needs to shift in order for everything else to shift, including the physical, right? Believe it or not, you can have the best workout routine, the absolute best diet, and until that internal reality shifts, there will be things that will actually prevent the body from transforming and shifting and changing, right? People who have, for example, been victims of some forms of abuse will very often develop very physical armor around themselves, and that will very often manifest as body fat. It's trying to preserve and keep safe your internal organs, your heart, and everything else in there. So there's work that needs to be done on that internal, correct, in order to shift the external. But just understand that, I guess, really what I want to convey here is it's not your fault. If you're struggling with actually moving the direction you want to move into, right? Because you are, of course, I don't want to say fighting your ego, but you do have to take that part of what makes you into account, and then work with the ego to actually move you in the right direction. The ego in and of itself is just there to keep you alive. Just remember that always. Okay, so work with it, not against it. Don't fight it. Work with it. Shift it. Okay, and then you'll actually be able to take the correct steps forward and not be sabotaging yourselves or creating unnecessary resistance on the path getting there. And in fact, why not make it easier for yourselves, right? Because otherwise it's an uphill climb. So working with the ego, working on shifting your identity in the present in order to create the reality you're looking to create. That's really what my work is about. Because I'm far more interested in creation than I am in fixing or changing or this or this or that, because that keeps us in an identity of constantly needing to fix and change things in our lives. You follow? Because that is the structure that we're operating. We need a different structure. So I'm all about creating a new structure, a new identity in the present to move us into the reality that we're trying to create. And that could be health, that could be fitness, that could be career, that could be anything. Relationships, you name it. So I'm going to leave you guys with that to think about. Really what I want to convey to you is it's not your fault. And there are options and there's ways and practices. And at the end of the day, it's also about having just the correct plan in place, the correct accountability in place, having the correct guide in place in order to get you there. Because I personally need to also go to my coaches and advisors and people to kind of help me get different perspective and create certain shifts in order for me to create what I'm looking to create in the future. So with that, guys, I'm going to leave you with that to mull over. I'm going to wish you a beautiful week. And for those of you celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. Talk soon, guys.